Oh, all right, you guys. Super excited that you are going to be able to join us today. We are here with, I know I've been teasing you guys all week about what it is that we're doing and who we are featuring. I was trying out a new app to see exactly what we got. We got a friend here.
Me too.
Oh my goodness, you are beautiful. And what is your name, Angel?
Okay. What's your name?
Abigail.
Hi, Abigail. That
Mhm.
is a beautiful name, Abigail. I'm going to have everybody that is on YouTube with us right now say hello to Abigail. So if you are joining us in the chat, say hello to Abigail, would you? She came to us special today. She's got a twin brother too. So Abigail, who is your twin brother?
Daniel.
Daniel? And what is Daniel doing right now?
I think he's sitting on the couch.
He's just sitting on the couch. Do you know why your mommy is on YouTube right now? Your mommy won a very special award. It is called the Tutorpreneur Hero Award. Are you so proud of your mommy? She has been working so hard at starting her online tutoring business so that she can be more present for you. Isn't that awesome?
Daddy's not going to be mad anymore. Okay, I never worked with kids and animals.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is the sweetest thing ever. All right, so if you guys are in the chat, seriously, you gotta say hi, Abigail. Also, please tell us who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you tutor. And if you have any questions at all as we go through this amazing interview with Sharon, all about her tutoring business, we would love to be able to hear your questions. So Sharon, we're just gonna start off with you telling us all about what was learning like for you when you were a kid?
Well, I grew up and I actually learned to read very early. My mom was a piano teacher and I saw the kids sitting, next to her and getting all that time and attention with her. And so I asked her if I could learn how to play the piano. And I was about 4. And she said, when you learn how to read, honey, then you can take piano lessons with me.
Ah.
I had 2 really older sisters, one 8 years older and one 10 years older, and they read to me all the time. And so I memorized Hop on Pop and read it to my mom so I could take piano lessons. And but I kind of was that faker student. So
Yeah.
I memorized Hop and Pop, but it took me a long time to get like decoding skills because everybody thought I already knew how to do it. And so that was just kind of what learning was like for me all along.
Yeah.
And I was identified as gifted in the 3rd grade. And as a teacher, I've learned so much about that proposed for me. And hang on, honey, and an idea of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And so I was really afraid to try like new things for fear that I would fail, and look like I didn't know. So
Right.
I was just like that pretender kid kind of all the way through school.
And so then how did that affect you as you like started going into like high school and stuff?
High school was I spent a lot of time trying to do my homework because I read very slowly. And so it was kind of a deterrent. I pretended to read a lot of books. I was in AP classes, and I was able to skate by, and I even passed some of my AP exams. But I was supposed to read Wuthering Heights and I never finished it. I read Charles Dickens, and I just like, I have those kids in my class who just kind of listen and absorb everything. But you can really tell that like they're sitting there fake reading.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
good.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, sweetie, you need your mommy. What do you need, sweetheart?
Can you what?
She's like, I don't want the whole world to hear. All right, we got a couple people I'm going to welcome on in here. We've got Lisa and we've got Paul. Awesome. And Lisa tutors reading and math for elementary students. And we've got Paul, who teaches AP chemistry. And he is from England. So very, very cool. Thank you guys for joining. You know, we're so excited to be able to give like this big acknowledgement to Sharon with her winning the Tutorpreneur Hero Award for 2019. Woo woo! I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so for you kind of went through this, and so is that what kind of made you passionate about specifically trying to help kids with reading?
Yeah.
Your own experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw all of the little pieces and teaching kids phonics that I never learned.
Yeah.
And I, when I decided to become a teacher, I just all the way through school and college, I am a musician as well. So I taught a lot of like kids choir and music programs. So I knew I wanted to work with kids. And when I got my teaching credential, we were kind of in that whole language phase. And my reading methods classes were all about how to put together literature units and nothing about teaching phonics.
Right.
And so I knew as a teacher that I needed to add that piece in. It was, you know, you do have some kids who just read right away and they just, you know, they pick up sight words, but then you have kids that need to do those building blocks, you know, and learn the sounds the letters make, you know, one by one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm curious because just because of my own schooling that I specifically had as well, they were really focusing on at the time this whole language versus phonics debate that was kind of going on. And so because of that, they really didn't teach us phonics. I felt like we spent more time debating this whole language versus phonics thing than actually learning the concepts that went with either of those concepts. Did you find that with your education too?
Yep. The same thing. I remember during the lesson that was supposed to be about phonics, we learned that the teacher wrote on the board GHOTI and said, well, that spells fish. And then explained how like GH says like in rough, and O says like in women, and TI says sh like in shun. And so if we teach kids phonics, they're just going to learn that GHOTI says fish. And it doesn't. Nobody sees that.
Like nobody's ever even like done that.
No, I've never.
But maybe I should break it down when my kids are reading words. You're like, it doesn't even look like that. Like, I'm going to write it down and be like, is there anything phonetically that could have?
Yes. So, I mean, we did. My teaching program was very practical. We learned how to do literature units. Those were all my big projects.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think there's value in that, you know,
Sure.
to have, you know, you're going to read, you know, the little old lady who swallowed a fly, and you could have science lessons about flies and spiders, and, you know, you could do this whole animal unit and really connect it for kids. But you also need to have a phonics component to teach them how to actually read the little old lady who swallowed the fly, instead of teaching them the song and singing it over and over again and having them memorize it like I did.
Right. And you know, that's that whole echo reading thing, right? Like we do that in the early ages. We're like, I read, you read. And they like read the same exact line. And it's like, that's not reading. Although there can be some fun in that kind of stuff, like at a younger age. I mean, clearly that kind of stuff hopefully doesn't happen in the older grades. But yeah, there's just not that connect all the time with that. And so you went to school then to be a teacher. Did you know what you wanted to teach when you were going through your college education?
Well, when I got my degree, I majored in music. So I thought I was going to be a music teacher. The end of my college career, I developed a cyst on my vocal cords. And so I couldn't get through an hour concert without losing my voice.
Oh,
Then I spent like the whole week getting it back. And then by Saturday, I had enough voice to do the concert. And then I was right back to where I started. So I knew I was going to have to take a break on my voice, and that teaching music was probably not something I was going to do right away. So when it came time to sign up for the credential program, which in California at that time, you did your 4-year degree and then you did a 5th year. So I signed up to teach elementary because I thought I could teach reading and math and science. I like all that.
Yeah.
So I did my teaching program, and I landed my student teaching in 5th grade for a lot of the year. I did 5th grade and kindergarten.
Okay.
Decided that I liked 5th grade better. I love kindergartners. They're really cute, but there's a lot of prep that goes into that. And I loved the 5th grade curriculum that we learned about the United States history, and I loved the literature that went with it and their quirky sense of humor. So I've been in 5th grade for a lot of my career.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, now you've also, this past year, you were teaching music. How long have you been teaching music in the school system?
Well, that's an interesting story too, because when I went to get my very first teaching job, I interviewed, and they looked at my transcripts and said, well, I see you're an elementary teacher, but we really need a music teacher. So they put me to work. I taught 5th grade. It was a private school. So I taught 5th grade, and then I taught music for the whole school. They gave me an hour every day. And then it just kept happening that way. Every job I applied for, they said, but we really need a music teacher. So I ended up in public schools. I landed in middle school because they needed a middle school choir teacher.
Yeah.
So I taught part-time music, and then part-time, sometimes reading, sometimes math and science. And then I did a really neat college program called AVID that helps underrepresented kids get ready for college. And I just fell in love with helping those underrepresented kids, those kids who were struggling. And, when teaching 6th grade, I was having some kids that were reading at like 1st and 2nd grade level.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to help them because I had spent so much of my time in 5th grade and we were doing literature units. I didn't know how to fill in those gaps as a teacher. So I had to go back and, and learn on my own, because I can't teach kids all day and not be able to help them.
Right? I know. It's not a concept that sits well with most of us.
No.
All right. So you've got to tell us about this whole Disneyland thing. You worked at Disneyland. Okay. So I know that this is, we're going back in time here. So tell us about how and what did you do at Disneyland?
Well, I'm a Christmas caroler. And I do this while I teach, because I can go out in the evenings, and I auditioned for a professional Christmas caroling company here in California. And the owner was a court jester at Disneyland back in the 80s, did a lot of comedy shows, worked at the magic shop there. And so we keep landing at Disneyland doing various things for them. We sang on Main Street. We've sung in the hotels. We opened a brand new show at California Adventure. We were called the Buena Vista Street Community Bell Ringers, dressed all in like 20s and 30s costumes, like when Walt first arrived to California. And that was very cool, writing our own show. And I got to meet some really like my idols in Disney. I worked side by side with Bruce Healy, who's written a lot of music for Disney, and Carla Carlisle, and oh gosh, what's her name? Marilyn Magnus, who's like the goddess of all things entertainment in Disney, so that was a really neat thing. I've done a lot of, we've done a lot of TV promo stuff for them. Whenever, some kind of Christmas musical comes out or movie comes out, we play handballs. And so Disney just says, where's that handball caroling group? We want them. So I've gotten to do a lot of neat things that way.
Oh my gosh, that is so incredible. So have you ever been like in any of their movies or anything?
Nope, only promos.
Just the promos.
Extra work for friends, who work in TV, and I just kind of found I love live performing because I love the applause that happens right away. And TV and film is a lot of like film the scene and then hurry up and then wait for them to do some stuff and then film the same scene again. And so I like the crowd and the interaction with the audience a lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is just, I always love finding out like these kinds of things about you guys, because, it's not that typical stuff that you learn about each other, that because we're always like so stuck in our business and learning about like, how do we tutor, how do we get students, all that kind of stuff. That's really interesting to kind of get the backstory on like what other people do and like what makes you who you are. And it's so cool that you have this passion and you follow through with it. So how did you make the big decision to start shifting to the whole tutoring world?
Well, I knew I wanted to do some kind of an online business to be home. My twins were born in May of 2014, and I was out a lot directing children's theater and caroling and running the caroling company. And my poor husband was home a lot with these two babies that he didn't know what to do with. And so we had a heart to heart, and I'm like, okay, I'm coming home. And I missed that extra income. And so I started selling makeup, and I was working with a business coach because she had sold the same makeup line. And I just realized in that time while I was putting together the what makes me, like all the things that I bring to the table that I can offer as value. And it kept coming up. I love to teach kids. I love to work with kids. And that had nothing to do with makeup. And so I really just made a shift, and I said, what if I do this online business, and what if I continue to learn about Facebook Live and how to share my value on different platforms, but it's with working with kids.
Right.
Then I don't love driving to people's houses. I did that when I taught voice and piano lessons, and it just was a grind that I knew I didn't want to do. And so I thought, well, what if I do it online?
Yeah.
And I started teaching through a platform called OutSchool, which is kind of some small online classes. So I knew how to use Zoom. And so I started marketing myself as like, I can teach everything, because I'm a musician and I teach elementary, so I could help you with science. And I taught Avid, so I could help you get ready for college. And I'm a gifted teacher trainer, so I can help your kid challenge. And I spent probably a good year not even getting one student with them. I can teach it all.
Oh yeah, that's such a good point, and that's really something that we hone in on for people that become part of the Insider Secrets Club too. Is like, let's find the one area that you can shine, so that you can create and craft a message that's going to attract those people into your whole entire thing.
Yeah.
So that actually answers the next question that I had like written down. It was like, before you joined the Insider Secret Club, how many students did you have? So did you have any students before you started with us?
Nope. I did not.
Wow. And then you joined us, and you joined the Reading Interventionist program, and you got 2 students. So tell everybody how you got those 2 students, because this is awesome.
As part of the Reading Interventionist program, there are some tasks that I found out I had to do. And one of them was to give this online reading assessment. And I had no students. And you were like, well, just use one of your students and do it. I'm like, I don't have anybody, So I decided to kind of put the word out there through my Facebook page and through some moms groups that like, hey, I'm getting this interventionist certification, and I really need to give these online assessments. Can you help me? And I had, but I don't, even know how many responses that I had to respond to, like, hey, let's schedule something. I spent my entire spring break in March giving online assessments, just the whole week I blocked out, and I got 2 students who are still with me from that. From that thing. Actually 3. I had one that came, and then she took the summer off. And then I have 2 that I'm still tutoring right now.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And so a lot of times people think like, oh, well, I don't have any students, so I can't like do the assessment. But you're like, I'm going to come up with a solution for this. I'm just going to tell people I need to give this assessment. And then you turned it into like a sales conversation if necessary. It was like, hey, well, here's where they're at, and if you're interested, I am doing this. And oh my gosh, so incredible. Now, Alexa's super excited because she's also a reading teacher, but she's also a twin mom.
Oh, yay, Alexa!
She's got twin baby girls.
What's the Hunger Games sign that we give? Twin mom.
Oh, I didn't even know you guys had your own sign.
It's the Katniss Everdeen, yeah.
I always wanted to have twins.
I did too, until I had them.
I was like, so like when I was growing up, I'm like, I'm going to have twins. My mom's a twin. So I was, and we were all like joked around about it because we were like, hey, you know what? Like one of us is going to have twins. Like they say it's like 1 out of 4. And so there's 2 cousins and then my brother and I. And so we always joked around, no, it's going to be you. No, it's going to be you. And in my mind, I was always like, I hope it's me. I hope it's me. I hope it's me. I hope I had 1 and done, right? Like 1 pregnancy. I'm done with all my kids. Like 2 is like a great number. And then I had 3 kids the hard way. I don't. But I know that there's a lot of work that goes on into what it is that you guys have to have those 2 at the same time. It's a whole nother ball of wax, right? Just absolutely crazy. Oh, I love this. So Paul just mentioned too that he tutored way too many subjects in the beginning too, and he said specializing is definitely the way to go. So if you guys are newer and you're just listening to this and kind of hearing this message for the first time of, if you think you can tutor everything and you're going to be able to get more students, it's actually the opposite that actually happens. You want to be able to specialize in a certain area, craft a message that's going to attract those people, be of service and create content that is going to attract them into your funnel, and you are going to get more clients than, I mean, for most of us, after a couple of years, you're gonna have more clients than you even know what to do with. And that's exactly where Alexa is at this point with her business. She is having a hard time saying no to people. So like every time I talk to her, she's like, I'm working like 18 hours. I'm like, wait, what? You're supposed to be working like 12. So I do promise you guys, if you follow this, it will definitely help you be able to get more students, not less. So now how many students do you have total?
I have 8 now because I just on Monday.
Wow, that is really, really awesome. You got so it's new students are still coming in the summer for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of people think that can't happen.
Yeah, no, in reading, I think that they realize they have the time, they get done with the school year and they get their report and they find out that they're behind. And so they say, hey, we're going to use the summer to catch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it does start to like slow down a little bit, but then it starts to speed up again. It's like, it's weird. There is like a little bit of a lull in the summer, maybe like a 3-week lull, but then people start like thinking about the next school year. Yeah. So like I find that people start looking for like their summer tutor, like April, May, and they start thinking about it. And then they get into the situation where we even usually start before then, to be able to play the catch up game before the next school year. And then there's like a little bit of a lull sometimes in July, but then like the end of July starts to come and people are starting to think about the next school year and realizing, oh my gosh, like we have not done nearly as enough stuff as we thought we should be doing.
Yeah. I have a couple students who want to gear up for the fall.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And so then the cool thing is like the end of August comes, it's again a little bit of a lull, and then they have that first teacher like conference and they find out that their child is behind, and then they keep going. So yeah, I tried to track it once, like, okay, when am I getting more students, less students? And it changed with the longer that I was in business, the less lulls I had. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I had so many people referring me for my tutoring services.
Yeah.
So we've got Elizabeth in the house. Hi. She said, I'm late, but I made it. Congratulations, Sharon. Yeah. Let's see. How many of you guys know how to do a boom cha that are inside of this chat? I would love to be able to see like a ton of boom chas. All it takes is one person to know how to do the boom cha. It's a fist and a firework. If you can figure it out, the rest of y'all, you can just like copy paste it and then paste it into your response. That's the little trick. So let's boom cha the heck out of Sharon for winning this award. So this is the award that she gets. It gets to go on her website. And that definitely helps you guys with being able to be, noticed within your, the area that you are specific to, right? Getting awards and recognition and that kind of stuff. It definitely helps to boost the expertise that people kind of view you at when it comes to that. So for the 8 students that you have right now, what worked for you to be able to get those students?
A lot of different things. So the putting the word out that I needed to give an assessment as part of my training got me 3 students. I did a Craigslist ad back in April, and I have 2 students from that. I have 1 student from tutors.com. One of my 8 is a voice student. Which again, like I wasn't really advertising that I taught voice, but this gal on Facebook was like, hey, you're doing this online tutoring business, and do you teach voice? And I'm like, sure. So, and that's, with when you try to teach everything, and you hone down into one, people still know that you are all of these other things.
Yes.
I think that's the fear, that like, if I just say I teach reading, I'm going to miss these other students that I want to teach. And I don't think that you miss them at all.
No, you're absolutely 100% right on this, because what ends up happening is now people know that you exist, because you are using a platform to be able to get the word out there, and now they know you exist. Before, they couldn't hear you. You weren't standing out in any kind of way whatsoever. And so now people are able to see your content, see if it applies to them, and then they start wondering, oh, I wonder if she does this as well. And you get those other opportunities that just kind of come to you. So it's very different than a resume, right? Like when we go to get a job, we put all of our experience. Or when we work for a tutoring company as an employee, we're like, well, if I tutor all of these areas, they'll be able to assign more students to me, right? It's very different when you own your own business. You can't go at this with an employee mindset. You have to go at it with a different mindset. I was just explaining this to somebody else yesterday. We were talking about McDonald's. McDonald's doesn't advertise all of the food that they have when they do a commercial. They're usually, they have a limited time special, or they're specifically featuring one of their burgers, right? They're not advertising all of them, yet you still know they have all that other stuff too, right? They don't ever have to tell you that they've got soda, right? And what flavors they have. You kind of know that, but so then people will ask you those kinds of questions anyways and see it. So you got someone from an assessment, a Craigslist ad, tutors.com. Anywhere else?
One more. I was in a group for parents of kids with dyslexia. I put it out there that I have a dyslexia screener, just because I've seen that a lot of parents were wondering if their kids have dyslexia, and they were trying to get the school to do testing, which takes a long time. And so I just felt like, hey, I have this screener, and I can start talking to you about that and just give you some answers. And so I had quite a few people reach out to me through that. And then one, I just did an assessment, and he's now a student. So.
Oh, very cool. Now, was that a Facebook group?
Yeah, a Facebook group.
Okay, great. Awesome. So I'm noticing a theme here. Not all of your students came from one place.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they're getting started, they're overwhelmed by the whole process of starting their own tutoring business. And then they kind of get down to well, if I were just to do one thing, what's the one thing that's working the most? And nobody has had that answer, because it is all of the things that we put into our funnel that end up dripping out students. None of them are pouring out students, but all of them added together end up with a full caseload of students for us to be able to work with. So it works really, really well. So we always have to think about what are all the different strategies that I'm going to build into my plan to be able to get students.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, they found the boom cha, Sharon. The boom chas are coming on in. See that? Look at that. Woo. They're coming in. I love it. You guys are so awesome. So cool. So cool. All right. So you tutor reading online, and lots of people want to know, what in the world does that look like? I know I got that question all the time. How do you teach reading online? How do you do that?
Well, I use Zoom. That's my favorite platform, because you can screen share. And I have a lot of digital tools. So I start with a PowerPoint, and I share my screen, and the kids can read. We do sight words. I teach letters through sharing my screen. And then I use a lot of apps. I use Raz Kids, which I absolutely love because we read books through there. And once I test the child and get their reading level, then Raz Kids has the exact reading level for us to do. And so the kids love that they're right on target. They're not reading anything that's too hard. They're not reading baby books. They all love it. I use Starfall for my little kids to have them practice the letters and the sounds, and nursery rhymes to work on rhyming. I use Newsella sometimes to help with the nonfiction. So Flocabulary. That is like our little treat. They all want to watch a video.
Right?
Yes. And then there's these cool vocabulary cards. And so then we go through the vocabulary cards, and they're reading. They read the definitions, they read the sentence. But gosh, that little rap video on vocabulary is always, they're like, oh, do we get to do that today? They always pick it. So
yes. Yeah. Yeah, that is like a super duper awesome tool. And I love too that it transcends into lots of things. Like it's got comprehension strategies in there. So like if they're struggling with a comprehension strategy, I can bring that on in. It's got there's math videos in there. So like my kiddos that I end up working on math with, I can bring that on in. Yes, I tutor math sometimes, you guys. Some of you don't know that, do you? Because I've advertised myself as an online reading tutor. But guess what? Most of my students like that struggle with reading. I wouldn't say most, but like there's like a certain percentage of students that additionally then struggle with math as well. And so it's an easy next sell, right? Like, is your child struggling with math and word problems? I can usually kind of throw that on out, and people are like, yeah, actually they can't do word problems at all. They just can't. It's like, great. Like, here's the next step of what we can do now to make sure that they're using their reading skills to work on, the math. So yeah, awesome. All right. We've got, Alexa had to run, but she said, congratulations. She's book solid. Like she's just like, boom, 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 boom. So if you were book solid, how many students would you want?
I'm looking at 20 this year to add on to, I'm going part-time in the school district. So I would like 20.
Yeah.
And then in my dream world, if I could, stay home 100%, I need 40, but I'm going to be thinking about doing classes and creating some online programs to leverage my time a little bit more so that I can make up that income, but not have to spend all my time sitting in a chair at the computer.
Oh, I know. That's it. There are not good things that happen because of that. Let me tell you guys. This is why I became a jazzercise instructor. On top of it all, because I was like, oh, this body needs to move.
I'm not getting my 10,000 steps in anymore.
Oh my gosh, I know. I hear you. No, you look at it and you're like, oh, I don't even want to look at that number. So what do you specifically love the most about tutoring online?
I really love the one-on-one. As a classroom teacher, with over 30 kids, you can, with Readers Workshop, you can do reading conferences and, but if you work with a kid for 5 minutes, and let's say I work with 5 kids for 5 minutes, that's 25 minutes that I'm not helping the other kids and I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So, they're out there fake reading like I was. But with one-on-one, like that time that I'm spending with them is 100% me and them at their level. I know what they need. I know what they don't need. And so we spend all the time, working on filling in those gaps, and they get to make such quick progress.
Yeah.
And the parents who come and say, my child really loves her time with you. It feels like a game. The parent that I just got, I assessed him and I looked at what he could do. And I said, okay, we're going to start by learning the letters. And she said, oh my gosh, so you can help him? I want to cry because everybody else has said no.
Oh,
and I know it's so tugged on my heartstrings. And I was like, that is why I'm doing this. Because I want to help the kids who have been struggling and, are feeling like they can't do it. And their parents feeling like there's nobody who can help my child. And I'm like, I can.
Doesn't that just feel so awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, I have no doubt that, like, after you joined the reading interventionist class and now you can see the data from beginning to end with being able to close the gap, have you noticed that you've been able to close the gap as quickly as what I said that I could teach you to do, like within the 8 to 12 hours of instruction, being able to close the gap a full year?
Yep, for sure. I notice it in fluency because we do fluency every week, and suddenly we're into the next level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're reading well, and it's all of the components together. It's the
Yes.
fact that go over sight words, and they're able to read more fluently and more expressively through it.
Yeah. So awesome. Oh my gosh. I get goosebumps when I hear like you guys like doing all of this stuff. It's so amazing. You know, I absolutely love it. So if you've ever been thinking about joining the reading interventionist class, check it out this fall because I am going to open it up again. I'm taking August off, but in September you can expect that program to be open again. So I want to know, what questions do you guys have that for Sharon? Look at this. You just made Elizabeth tear up. She said, "Oh my goodness, what an amazing impact you're making on that family."
Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. You know, we get to work with people from all over the world. So where are some of the places that you get to work with your students? Where are they from?
So I have the new one from North Carolina.
Okay.
And then I think everyone else is from California.
Okay.
County. So it is that local piece. You know, they like that I'm local and I guess can be found, and you know. But I will.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
East Coast families.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because just recently, like in the past year, I've had a lot more people, because of Google My Business, finding me locally just by typing in certain like keywords, and then I come on up first. And I just think that's so cool because, I mean, even though those people are local or within like a 30-mile radius, they still want to move forward. Again, like you said, like because I'm more local. They do like that. They do enjoy that. But it's being online has also allowed me to be able to get clients from, you know, Australia and, you know, from the UK and Canada and Brazil. I mean, just all over the world, which is, it's so fun when you get to start learning about all the different countries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I was looking to see if you guys had any questions in there, but I don't see any that are coming on up. So Sharon, I want to know, if you were to give some advice to somebody who is just starting out, what advice would you give them?
Definitely the thing that changed my business was honing in on the one skill. I had the teacher friend in a group, when I said, I do this and this and this, they said, you really need to hone down to the one thing. And that's how I found you. Was somebody said, Joanne Kaminsky helps people like you, online tutors. And so just, naming my business exactly what I do. You came up with that name for my business before I paid you a dime. How can I get more from this lady? And now I am, willing to throw money at you. But the other thing I was going to say is that I watched your masterclass on the reading interventionist program, and I've been a teacher for 27 years, and I probably have every single one of the tools that you give, but it's been really helpful to have it all in one place. And that it's all digitized already, specifically for online. So I'm not sitting there, scanning PDFs and figuring out how to make it work online. It's just, you have all of the tools there. And so when I started with my first student, it was so easy because I just followed your plan. I'm just like, why, sure, I'll take another student because I just know that I do A, B, C, D, E, and then we're done. So doing that reading interventionist program is what really jump-started my business. And I had students, and I was like, oh, and I am a tutor, and I do have this as a business, and people are now paying me,
Yes.
So and then success begets success,
Yes.
And so I kind of rode on that, and have all these ideas of different things I could do just from that one step that I took.
Yeah. And now look at this. And now instead of having to go back to the school system full time, you get to go back half time and then be able to continue to grow your business as well. So that, is it your goal that in 2020 fall that you're not going to go back into the school system? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I know lots of people have a very similar goal. And I love how you kind of like put it together so it's going to work for you. Like, I would never say to anybody, quit your job, do this full time right out the gate, because that is going to cause obviously people to have, you know, stress, anxiety, doubts. I mean, everything's going to come on up for you. But if you're in a place where you feel like the best thing for you would be to leave the school system and you're thinking about doing online tutoring, you know, start giving it a go. Just get out there and start doing it. I mean, that's going to be the best thing that you can do for your business. I love it. So any other advice that you would give a newcomer?
You know, I think if you are a full-time teacher and you're thinking you'd like to do it, you know, I mean, don't be afraid. You could, you know, I used my spring break to give all of those assessments. And then I spent the end of the school year teaching, you know, 1 or 2 kids a day. And it was totally doable. I just came home and jumped on the computer and, you know, tutored my kids anytime between 4 and 7. And I'm home, so I can still enjoy my little ones. I always plan a little gap in between so that I can love on them and give them what they need. But yeah, just kind of jump in and get started, and you can do it at any point in your career with, you know, what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to start it as like a hustle, you absolutely can. If you want to build it up slowly, you can. If you want to build it up quickly, you can. It's all absolutely possible. So that you can, now you guys see, right, like why this lady is winning our 2019 Tutorpreneur Hero Award. Woo! Well done. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story and you know, how you got started and the success that you're having. And we wish the most amazing success. And you know what I can't wait for, Sharon?
What?
The next time when I have like a whole bunch of Tutorpreneur Hero Award winners come on. What I noticed last time was all the people who were Tutorpreneur Heroes, they ended up having like pretty much a booked solid business by the time that they came back onto the next call. And I could see that happening for you. So I can't wait for that one where you get to join a whole bunch of us in one of these calls and get to see all the successes, amazing success stories that you guys are having. So thanks for joining us today, everybody. It was absolutely a pleasure. We had Stephanie Fenton. She said, congratulations. Elizabeth, Destined to Shine. That is our Yvette, Hamza, and Alexa, and Paul. Thank you guys for joining us. Fernando, we're so glad that you were able to join us. Kathy, lots of you guys on in here. Thanks for joining us. We love being able to chat and interact with you guys as well. So thank you for showing on up. We appreciate it. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see all of you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.